Housing crisis has defined maybe the last decade. Rising housing prices, lack of affordable housing, all these have become an acute shelter shortage for so many Canadians, many of whom regard this as one of their biggest issues in the campaign. Certainly it plays in with this whole notion of affordability. Who will cool down the red-hot housing markets? And what about affordable housing? Well, the NDP and the Conservatives have both shared some of their plans to tackle housing in their platforms. The Liberals haven't shared their full campaign platform yet, but they're campaigning on previous budget commitments. And let me give you some background on this. The Liberals, of course, have pledged $2.5 billion in the last budget to create what they say will be 35,000 homes, with $1.5 billion dedicated to the Rapid Housing Initiative. They also promised properties tax for foreign-owned vacant homes. Let's go to the Conservatives. Check this out. They promise 1 million homes to be built within the next 3 years. They say they will ban people who don't live in or won't move to Canada from buying housing. They will also encourage 7 to 10-year mortgages. That brings us to the NDP. They promise 500,000 homes over the next decade. They say they will hit buyers who don't live in Canada or won't move with a 20% foreign buyer's tax. The NDP is promising to double the home buyer's tax credit up to $1,500. So that sets the table a bit, if you can remember all those numbers. Let's bring back the candidates fighting for your vote. Jennifer O'Connell is the Liberal candidate for Pickering-Uxbridge. Eric Duncan is the Conservative candidate for Stormont, Dundas, South Glengarry, and Jenny Kwan is the NDP's candidate for Vancouver East. Welcome back. Okay, let's start with you, Ms. O'Connell. Your party has a national housing strategy, we know from 2017, costing $72 billion for 10 years, the national housing strategy the Liberal government has announced before. But can you explain to Canadians who are looking at this why the Parliamentary Budget Officer found that in the 3 years, less than half of the money allocated to key components of that, the National Housing Co-Investment Fund, the Rental Construction Financing Initiative, less than half of the money has been spent. So how do voters trust that your party will actually deliver and fulfill its promise on housing?
Well, we have been committed to this issue, as you've said, not just in this election cycle, but as government, we've been making investments as well as policy decisions that now the NDP are jumping on as well. But the critical thing here, and trust me, I am in the GTA in Ontario, housing is a big issue, but I can also look in my backyard, in my region, to projects that are actually being built, under construction. We have completed projects as well from the National Housing Program that we've put in place and the funding we've put in place. So of course we need to do more and continue to move these projects forward. But our commitment, we've seen shovels in the ground and we've seen people access housing. So we need to keep doing that work. But our commitment is strong, and we know this is crucial, and everyone deserves safe and affordable housing.
Nonetheless, the price of housing keeps going up, and something has to be done. Let me go to Mr. Duncan, because Mr. O'Toole plans to build, he says, 1 million homes, new homes, in 3 years. But can we just break that down? You and I both know that, that number's inflated in terms of policy, because 250,000 of those homes, 250,000, that already is happening every year. No matter what your party would do, you're getting 250,000. So that's 750,000 new homes would be built without any new policies from a Conservative government. So what about the last 250,000 homes over 3 years? Does your party have a cost to what a government would have to spend to get those built? How much would that cost?
Well, so first of all, Evan, yes, we have a full plan. It is out there. It has been internally calculated. The Parliamentary Budget Officer has said they haven't had time to review it yet because of the snap election. We came out very early. And again, the Liberals are several years into their 10-year housing plan. And what have we got? We have housing costs more expensive than ever before. The number of people that you're just walking away from the idea of ever being able to own their own home is at a high level, and there's no end in sight in this. You didn't hear from Jennifer one single idea different than the current path. And I think Canadians would agree the status quo is not working. We've talked about working with provinces and municipalities, giving some examples of banning foreign buyers coming into the market if they're not going to live in that home. That is going to be addressing that issue very specifically, redirecting foreign investment, which is important for the Canadian economy, instead into market purpose rentals. That's going to help that sector. We're going to work with provinces and municipalities to do more density and residential building around transit stations. We have a very detailed aspect when it comes to money laundering. We have a plan that has been, again, from experts, very well received from housing advocates. It's what they've been talking about. It's not the status quo. It's not word salad. It's a tangible plan that's going to build homes, cut red tape, and make home ownership a reality for more people. It's a concrete plan as opposed to just saying nothing.
The NDP, Jenny Kwan, is promising a 20% foreign buyers tax on homes for people who aren't Canadian citizens or permanent residents. I understand that. That may cool off some hot housing markets, doesn't actually build affordable housing for people and provide, first-time buyers with a lot of access. How do you do that?
Well, first off, let me just go back a little bit in time. The truth of the matter is the federal Liberals canceled the National Affordable Housing Program back in 1993. As a result of that, Canada lost more than 500,000 units of affordable housing that would otherwise have been built. So consequently, we have this housing crisis, no question. From our point of view, the NDP, we intend to actually deliver 500,000 units of affordable housing over 10 years. Not like what the Liberals say. They say that they will deliver, but the Parliamentary Budget Officer's report clearly indicated that they have not. In fact, the number of units that they claim that they have built or that they have funded, the Parliamentary Budget Officer indicated that, half of them have actually, the money has not flowed to deliver those projects. The other issue that is critical is affordability. The Parliamentary Budget Officer clearly indicated that under the Liberals' national housing strategy, housing need and the affordability gap is expected to grow under the current plan. Now, the Conservatives, they say they're going to build 1 million units of housing. Now, as you indicated, Evan, 750,000 of those units are going to be built anyway, but they have no mention of affordability. And that is the key issue, making sure that the housing is built and so that people can afford it. The Liberals, they define affordability like this. I mean, it's shocking to me that they would consider, for example, housing that is built under their program where the rent is somewhere between 30 to 121% above the market rent as affordable. I don't know under whose universe would you define that as affordable, certainly not in mine and not in Vancouver East. So when we talk about affordable, we're talking about people below the market. We're talking about social housing, co-op housing, where people can actually have a roof over their head, create a home, and have that foundation to grow.
Right. Okay, I'll give Jennifer O'Connell a chance to respond to both Mr. Duncan and Ms. Kwan.
Well, I actually agree with Ms. Kwan in terms of the affordability piece, that affordability is key, but that is precisely why we've invested in the National Housing Strategy to make sure that it is affordable for people. And I'm not surprised that the Conservative plan mentions nothing about affordability because they just plan, I guess, on building more homes that people can't afford. And that's really the crux of the issue. The Conservatives also, they point out, or they say that our billions of dollars of investment to help people actually reach home ownership, they say that's nothing, yet they do nothing to actually address it. The Conservative economic plan, as we've seen in the past, is to continue to let the rich get richer. We're focused on people, and that affordability piece is core and crucial to our national housing strategy. And like I said, they accuse us of doing nothing, but I can point to very real projects, very real families in my own region that are living and have housing as a result of the investments from the national housing strategy.
I get that. I mean, you know, anecdotes aren't data, so we're just trying to get the data on this. But Mr. Duncan, just real quick on that, can you respond to the criticism that the Conservative plan is going to, build more housing around transit areas, but they might not be affordable housing at all?
Affordability is a factor in all the different specific platform planks and ideas we've got on housing. Getting money laundering out of the real estate system in this country, banning foreign buyers, that is going to help make the market cool off just as you suggested, and let people who actually live in Canada who want to own a home be able to do that. Building density around transit stations, working with provinces and municipalities who own those properties, taking foreign buyers, moving them into market-driven rental units. Evan, we have ideas, and I'm smiling from ear to ear from Jennifer's answer. No ideas. This government is tired. They called an election. We're day 5, and they have no ideas. They're attacking us, and we're the ones coming out with an affordability plan, a housing plan, in details where we get the job done. No ideas. They say they're going to spend money. They don't spend it. And what they are doing, Evan, is clearly not working. The record, the numbers, the record real estate speaks for itself. They're tired and running out of gas.
All right, like a housing sale, I got to close this sale, but don't worry, we'll be back. We got lots more to come. Jennifer O'Connell, Eric Duncan, and Jenny Kwan. The three of you, I always appreciate you taking the time.